Hi guys, Marika here with the how to color skin tutorial that I promised for so long. Today I am going to color this girl from the greetings stamp. She's sadly a retired stamp, but she was so cute, so I just had to use her. And I'm going to use the Make It Color blending cardstock. This is my favorite cardstock for using with my Copics. You can use the Nina Solar White, which I have behind here, but as you see, it has a little bit of a different tint. It also have a little bit of a different texture in the cardstock itself, so the colors will show up a little bit differently. When stamping, I'm actually using the Momento Tuxedo Black ink today, and that is a very good ink to use with your Copics. The color scheme I'm using today is one of my favorite skin colors, and the reason for that is because it is the skin color I have, so it's much easier for me to figure out where to put all my shadows. Here are a few images that I actually used the same pens with. So all of these stamps are using the same color scheme. However, they have a little bit different. Like this down here have not the E04, so it turns out being much lighter. While this I'm holding here, I actually used a little bit more of the E21 and the E11, and therefore she got a much darker tint. I actually added some pink onto her knees and to her elbows to kind of enhance them a little bit. But to begin with our little stamp here, these are the colors that I'm using for my skin. The top one is the skin itself, and the lower one, the R ones, are for the blush. When I'm starting out today, I am actually using the E50 to map out my shadows. This is a way to map out the shadows, and if you do wrong, it doesn't really matter because you're using your lightest and you don't have to throw it away. I'm choosing to have my light source in the upper right corner. So first I'm adding a little bit of color in the cheek, kind of on the opposite side of where I have the light. I also add a little bit to round off the cheek, but also as shadows from the hair. I'm adding a little bit of color to her eyelids to kind of round them off, and then the drop shadow underneath her hat onto her forehead. Then I'm going in to kind of figure out the shadows on the arms. The rightmost arm will only have a shadow on the inner side, on the left side, while the leftmost arm will have a shadow both on the left side and on the right side, as her chest will have a right side drop shadow. Also a little bit under her neck and on the left side of her legs. Then I'm going to go in with my darkest color with the E04. I'm very sparingly using the E04. It's just for the kind of darkest shadows. If you want a darker skin color, you use more of it. If you want a lighter skin color, you can go as far as not use it at all. When I do my rounded shadows, I leave a little bit of a slim color, and this is because I'm adding something called a reflected light. This actually makes her get a little bit more dimension and a little bit more interest. So I'm adding that with my darkest pen, and I'm doing that also both on her arms and her legs, but the arms actually got a very small amount of reflected light. And then I'm doing the same on her legs, and usually I use even a little bit less on her legs than I'm using today. So that is also, it's experimenting, kind of figuring out how much of the darkest shadows do you want, or do you even want that dark shadow. Now I'm starting with the E21, but in a very small second I will be going back to the 11 when I realize that I picked up the E21. Those things happen. But the E11 is my next to darkest color, and when I do, first I'm going around with my rounded shadows, and the rounded shadows are shadows that I actually elongate. I'm adding a little bit more of the color. I'm kind of smearing it out in the direction to kind of build the form. So on the eyelids I'm doing like C shapes, and just trying to pull that color out. Again, all of the rounded shadows, the one that falls away from your light source, is going to be a little bit pulled out. Kind of just that there is where I build up the shape of the body, of the skin. After going with those, I'm going in with my drop shadows. And drop shadows are usually pretty harsh. The further the item that gives the drop shadow is, the lighter the shadow is. But they are pretty harsh and they have a harsh line. So I'm not spreading it, I'm just kind of diluting the darkest a little bit. Then I'm going in with the E21. And with the E21, I will not touch the drop shadows because now my drop shadows are completed. Instead, I'm just elongating all of my side shadows. Also on the face here, I'm starting to build up the shape of this face itself up on the forehead, because you will have kind of more of a rounded shape there. And I'm giving it a little bit of darkness just between the eyes, because you have a little dip there. And I want to kind of enhance that. Actually, I personally think they look a little bit cuter when they get that little enhancement. And again, going with this color, with the E21, I'm going so that I have a little bit more than half of the image colored. Then I'm going in with the E00. That's where I kind of decide how much highlights I want, the lightest of the highlights, because I'm going to color in everywhere except where I want my really light highlights. Also, I will not color in the reflective light, the little rim light I have on her. Those will go in with the lightest color also. And I'm going a little bit over the color. One of the things I'm thinking about when I do skin is to blend it, to try to get as much of a blend as possible so that she has a smooth skin color. Smooth skin at all. And so I'm going over it until I feel that I have the smoothest skin I can get. After I have added my highlights, I could say that this is finished. Now she is finished, because with one layer she looks pretty cute. But I wanted to have a little bit more dimension. I also wanted to give her some rosy cheeks. So after fixing all my rim lights, I'm going in with my pink shadows, pink tones. And I put the cheeks just underneath her eyes. And I'm using the R32 and the R20, pulling it in from the sides. This is where I decided I wanted her to have a little bit more dimension, a little bit more darkness. So I'm going in with the E21, my middle color, and just coloring on top of all of my shadows, making some of the shadows a little bit deeper. So it's a little bit more shadow than I had before, just to get some more of that. And also adding a little bit more color just between her eyes to get that little crease little bit extra noticeable. Then again, I'm going in with the E00 to blend that out, just leaving a very little bit of a highlight. And by going over once more, as I do here, I will darken her skin tone, because Copics work that way, that they layer in colors. So the light colors will be a little bit darker when you go over them the second time, but usually you get a little bit of a better blend, especially if you work pretty fast, because then when the paper is still a little bit wet, it will work a little bit easier to blend. And there she is, there she finished, and that is my skin tutorial. This again, I'm going to show you, she has actually a lot more of the E21 and the E11. I actually added some E11 just between her eyes because I picked up the wrong color, and then I just went with it and added the other colors to just giving her a little bit of that darker skin. And then you had her. She didn't have any E04 at all, so she's have a much lighter skin, but it's still the same pens. And she has the same colors as the one I did. I added a little bit of a nose on this little girl, and she also got a little button nose. So you can do a lot of different things with these characters. And this also shows that you can have a lot of different light sources, because this girl, she has the light source from the upper left. These two girls have the light source just in the middle, so she has the shadows each on every side. So the light source in the middle, which gives a little bit more shadows on both sides of the character. She has a very slight light source from the right. She also have her light source from the right. This girl have sort of in the middle. And as you notice, I have gone outside the lines here. So I thought I'd give you a little tip at the end of this video. If you have your colorless blender, you can go in and you can push the color towards her leg. So I'm going and pushing the color towards her leg and into the paper, and therefore it will be reduced, and you can't no longer say that I went over the lines on that image. But yeah, this is my little skin tutorial. I hope it helped you. I hope you like it. If you do, please thumbs it up. It means a lot to me. If you have any questions, want me to go through something else, just comment down below, and I'll try to make another video kind of answering your questions. Here are 2 other videos that I made previously. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye!